back. We're having our final conversation this morning, and as we mentioned, it's all about the Belize dance movement, presenting their latest show called Tenacity. And we have here with us Jalen Craig, and she is the creative director of Modern Dance Movement, to talk to us about it. Good morning, Jalen, and thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Also, welcome again to, so we're calling it OYE Escapes, while we escape from our studio and check out different places. I know that this is a location that a lot of people have mentioned they've never been to. So this is Old Belize. Old Belize's museum in Old Belize times. But we're here to talk about Modern Dance Movement and one of their latest projects. But before we even go into that, let's get an overview of what the fundraiser was like the last time you guys were here talking about that.
Yes, so a couple of weeks back, last month actually, I think a month ago, Modern Dance Movement collaborated with the Belize National Dance Company for Rhythms Unite, and it was a fundraising show for us to raise funds to go to Poland and represent Belize as a contingent. And so the results were really good. We had a great turnout. We would always want more people to come out and support us, but it was a great night, and for those who attended, they thoroughly enjoyed the performance.
And the trip to Poland has not taken place as yet, correct?
Correct. It will be in August.
Yes.
So we are very close to reaching our goal for funding. So we still have some corporate businesses that we are waiting on. And so anyone who is interested in donating, please feel free to reach out to myself or Miss Altia Seeley.
Yes, and if you're...
I would just like to ask to kindly remind us about the purpose of the trip to Poland.
Yes, so Poland, every year in Poznan, Poland, they have a traditional folk art festival. So this year it's their 17th annual festival. And so this is an area where they would like to see countries from abroad display their culture through dance and live singing. So we have a fairly large contingent that represents Belizean dancers, but also musicians and singers.
Yeah.
Wow. And you all have prepared cultural dances that represents Belizean culture, Mesoamerican culture.
That's right. So it's definitely a diverse program that we have been curating and rehearsing up to last night at 8 o'clock in the night. So we are working very hard in displaying our culture through art, performing arts.
Beautiful.
And that's just one of the, I'd say, events that people are supporting dance here in Belize by. But we also have an event set to take place, and it's called Tenacity. Let's talk about that.
So Modern Dance Movement has its annual dance recitals in June. And so this year, our 4th annual recital, the theme is tenacity. So every year we use one word to describe where modern dance movement is. And so this year we believe that the determination of our dancers and the perseverance despite challenges, we wish we can always be in the dance studio, but that's never the case. We have our own lives. And so despite our different experiences, different backgrounds, we all show up in this one space to dedicate our time and discipline and commitment to dance.
How many persons are a part of the Modern Dance Movement at this time?
Currently we have 80 enrolled.
Wow.
But this year, due to different circumstances, some dancers had to pull out. So we have just under 70 dancers who will be performing on Sunday at the Belize.
What is it like being essentially a leader of so many dancers, bringing their own creativity to the Modern Dance Movement?
It's a dream job, really. I never thought I'd be an educator, but as a dance educator, it has been a very fulfilling experience, and it always drives me to want to do more. There are so many ways we can always improve through the different methods of teaching dance, but also discovering and exploring ways to create new movements with the dancers is always different, exciting, and unique.
What's the age of your dancers?
We start ages 3 to adults, and we don't cap off the age for adults because at Modern Dance Movement we believe anyone can dance despite experience from this other group or no experience at all. We we invite everyone really.
So seniors can sign up as well.
That's
and
right. Any
participate.
gender,
Yeah.
we invite all genders.
Okay. Do you have males participating?
We do not.
It's okay. It's rare
But
to
we
have
do-
males interested in.
Yes. We do have people who are exploring their genders, but a male
Okay.
person we have had in the past two, but one lives abroad, and it was during COVID when the mom used to sign him on, a little boy. But this is the continuous talk that unfortunately we have a limited amount of male dancers, not just at Modern Dance Movement, but in every dance
general.
studio in Belize, you know, and it's just unfortunate that we have yet to tap into that area of male dancers confidently performing.
And that's
Yeah.
interesting because I think that at some point in our creative history, we had a lot of males front and center. Perhaps it was mainly hip hop and
Yeah.
dancehall and
Do you think it's because it's a
beatboxing.
style of dancing?
To be honest, maybe we should have conversations more with the limited amount of male dancers, not just that, well, currently there are at the Belize National Dance Company, and I believe there are other dance groups that have maybe one
Look at that.
young
Yeah.
boy dancing. So maybe having the conversation more and
Find out.
displaying, what's the underlying reason why? Because there are men who approach me and say, you know, I want to dance. And I said, well, you're always invited.
Yeah.
I want to talk about what dance does for persons who use it as a means of expression. You're a dancer yourself professionally, but I'm sure it means more to you than just a job. Let's talk about what dance does for persons who dance.
Definitely. Dance has so many benefits, not just physically, because it is a sport. You're constantly moving, especially in this heat, constantly always moving. But mentally, you know, I referred back that we all come from different walks of life. You never know what's happening in some people's households. So when they get into the studio, this is a moment for them to just find themselves, just block out what's happening in their personal lives. You have students, for instance, just graduating. We have a bunch of dancers graduating, and majority of them are, if not all, have really achieved high scores in the top 10s in their classes. And so it's a means for them to relieve that stress. So I always tell parents, taking your child out at a point where it's getting stressful at school is kind of the opposite of what you should be doing. This is a moment for them to unleash their creativity and relieve that stress, giving them a much stronger mental state to tackle on challenges and goals that they want to
Yeah.
take on.
What's the bond that you have to create with your with the dancers in your movement to be able to influence them in the right direction?
Yes, there are so many teaching philosophies.
Yeah.
I would say that mine is more of a new school kind of thinking, where you allow the discussions to happen, maintain the strictness, but there is a certain way of speaking to others to allow them to show that you are respecting them. If you want them to respect you, you have to show respect. So the words that we choose to communicate while displaying that discipline, commitment, and being as the strict dance teacher.
Then how do you build confidence in your dancers, understanding that not everyone will come in and believe that they can actually do what they're seeing their peers do or seeing you do?
Right. So we all have, I always say that we are our biggest critics. So we might want to come into the dance studio and take a class, but we kind of stop ourselves because we say, well, you know, I'm not in that state yet. Maybe down the line when I get better or when I feel more confident in myself. But at this moment, we've created a space where everyone is allowed to make mistakes. Everyone is allowed to embrace their flaws because we're all humans,
So
and we're all on this journey in progressing through dance. So maintaining that energy has really allowed us to become more supportive of one another. When you see a dancer struggling, that means you need to help them, find a way to communicate, what can I help you with? How can I help you? And yeah, we've maintained that positive vibe.
I want the viewers to learn a bit of your story, Jalen, and your experience of being passionate about dance and leading you to this point now where you're also instilling in other persons who are also passionate ways that they can improve themselves.
Yeah, well, my personal experience, I've been dancing since age 3, so I never
You hear
really
that often,
stopped.
by the way, excuse me.
Yeah.
You hear that often. We just had a young man here who plays basketball, and he was saying that he's been playing since age 3. I'm not sure what it is about these young people that start so young, but there's usually greatness involved after, it seems.
Yes, well, it's never too late to start discipline. I consider dance a discipline, an art discipline, and so it's never too late. And I have many adults who are older than I am who approach me and say, I've always wanted to dance, but back then my parents couldn't afford it, or I was never in that space to think I was good enough. And so these people are just as, they have that opportunity just as much as those who start at 3, really, yeah.
So you were saying though, you started at 3, you started dancing at 3,
Yes.
and I wanted to hear a bit more of your experience.
Yeah, definitely. I was at the Vista Dance Studio that was directed by Mrs. Fairweather Harms. And when she retired, I was in my studies in John Carroll University, which is in Ohio. I received a Jesuit scholarship. But regarding that, I still continued dancing there. I joined the dance ensemble there, and when I came back home, my aunt, Mrs. Kim Aikman, has always been connected with the Belize National Dance Company and Miss Althea Seeley. So that was how I started with the center under the instruction of Miss Althea Seeley, and eventually got into the main company. And through that, I was able to get even more experiences that I never thought I could, like representing Belize in Carifesta in 2012. And these are really huge milestones in developing me as a person, and the drive of continuing dance in Belize was instilled from way back then. And so I was thankful to have a supportive family who wanted me to continue going, and so I received my formal training in New York City for 3 years. So I came back and in 2019 founded Modern Dance Movement.
It's a good thing that you came back, and what you're doing now is you're carrying on the legacy of those who've laid foundations in the past, and you're building on that foundation. And I could imagine that after you, many, even those that are now within the movement, will continue to carry on that legacy. So you see the generations passing by, and the trend being kept, and that encourages me, even though I'm not a dancer except in the house when no one's watching. But that's another conversation. Let's talk a bit more about this weekend. You have 70 plus dancers in the movement. What can those who attend expect? 70, how do you organize all of that? The type of dances that can be expected?
Yes, so our 4th annual dance recital is coming up this Sunday, the 9th of June at 3 o'clock in the afternoon at the Bliss Center. We have tickets going on sale for adults, $25. Children for ages 3 to 15 will be $15. And so what to expect, we have a variety of different age groups. We have from 3-year-olds up to adults. And so what we offer in terms of choreography is ballet and modern dance. So what we usually do is our first half of our show is our ballet choreography, and our second half will be the modern dance.
What is modern dance?
So the specific technique in modern dance that I offer is the Martha Graham modern technique.
What do you call it? Sorry?
Martha Graham.
Martha Graham.
She's considered the pioneer for modern dance, and her technique has inspired other well-known modern dancers to create their own techniques as well. And so you want to think of this technique as a rebellion against ballet. Martha Graham was well ahead of her times. So she really had her dancers dancing in crop tops when back then it was unheard of.
Unacceptable, right?
Yes, and had them dancing on the floor, using their upper body a lot more, in contrast to ballet, where you have to maintain that lift of the upper body while you have your feet moving quickly in petite allegro or moving across the floor in grand allegro with these big jumps, but the upper body is always maintained straight. So this was a rebellion against that, and also moving on the floor, inversions like cartwheels, handstands, and what's not.
That's interesting.
I know, right? I did not know
Yeah.
that there was a difference in
And so
description.
when you decided to found the modern dance movement, was it because you, during your training, clung more to modern dance over ballet? Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So the school that I studied at to receive the formal training in New York is the Martha Graham School of Contemporary Dance. And so during my 3 years there, we had to dance every single day, Mondays to Fridays, in addition to having showcases at the end of the semesters. And they offered ballet and the Graham technique. And for me, while I will always have a love for ballet, modern, specifically the Graham technique, was personally something that I was able to use to express how I was feeling without speaking. So it was always something that allowed me to do more in choreography or just expression. But of course, there's always ballet that will have that different feeling for me. And so you'd be surprised how many Belizeans like ballet.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
We have a lot of Belizeans that love ballet. Do you also teach your students the expression aspect of dancing as well?
Definitely. We constantly talk about the studio space and rehearsals are not just for remembering the movements or making sure you look good physically, but it's about practicing your artistic expression. And so that's something that you just can't get on a stage and project.
Okay.
You know, everyone's artistic expression is unique and it will always change for that person. It won't always be the same. And so this is something that we constantly have to work on. We find different activities, especially during the summer when we don't have a show coming up. There are different methods that we can use to discover how our expression can show through different forms of dances, because every dance has its own theme as well. You have a dance which may be very exciting, happy, where you be often smiling and showing that happiness through your expression, but you have a dance which may have underlying themes like more thoughtful, provoking questions like what lies ahead, what's the future, and so these expressions have to change.
Right, to match with the theme.
Yes.
Are we exploring themes during Tenacity?
Definitely. So we have 14 dances
14.
showing this year.
Wow.
Yes,
Love
14. Yes, it's our longest show yet, and we're
Is it?
very excited. Yes. So every year we've been building up. So this year it's 14, and every dance has its own theme. We have some dances that we are bringing back from Miss Sisti Fairweather Harms with her permission and her blessing. And one of her returning dances that we did last year, Fisherman's Fantasy, tells a story about a fisherman in a dream and meeting this person, and they end up having a duet, and then they end up leaving each other in the end, and he wakes up. So this dancer has a very difficult job in like telling that story, because we're not there literally saying, okay, this person's gonna do this now. You know, every movement, every expression that this person portraying the fisherman does will tell that story to the audience. We also have our beginners dealing with changing of formations, which is something new for them. They usually stay in one formation, but for 2 of their dances out of the 4 that they're doing, they are changing their formations. So it's something challenging for them, but they are doing it very gracefully at such a young age, while smiling and looking out at the audience and not at the floor.
What's the biggest group that you have in any one choreography?
Definitely our preteens. We have 15 in one dance, but overall we have 33 preteens.
Okay,
Wow.
so 15 in one dance. And is there anything you can share about what they will be doing? Like, is there a theme or a story behind what their dance will be?
Out of the 14 dances, well, they are the ones actually with this challenge of Fisherman's Fantasy.
They're the one
and
with
this is a 6-minute dance. So it's a, we
Wow.
think 6 minutes is nothing, but in dance it's actually like a marathon.
I'm imagining trying to remember all the choreography, the different movements in 6 minutes.
And not be tired and completely exhausted after 6
Yeah,
minutes.
absolutely.
Yes.
That's quite interesting. Well, Jalen, we're always inspired by the work that you do over at the Modern Dance Movement, and we're encouraged, as Paul mentioned, to see dance be further developed here in Belize. I was thinking to myself, Paul, about our eye-opener that we had this morning, talking about creativity and imagination, and I was wondering, and this will probably be one of my final questions, do you see that there's more of a challenge for the older persons trying to put out their creativity and showcase their imagination versus the younger ones that would start early?
That's a really good question. I think for both levels, the younger ones may have an easier time in just creating a story in their head. But the thing is, as an adult, we have a lot more life experiences that we can really delve into, dig deeper, and this can actually be more fulfilling for us in the end to really think more about how did this experience make me feel, really. I have one choreography, the sun, because I noticed that some of our older dances, it's more about the solar system this year. That wasn't intentional, but it was what I was inspired by. So this dance, Sun, the older dancers need to remind themselves of different moments where they saw the sun rise, the sun set. And so these movements that were created were inspired by the horizons and the different levels or the different shapes that the sun takes.
That's interesting. Wow. Well, we definitely want to see the Bliss completely full to its capacity on Sunday. Remind us again the date, the time, and the price of the tickets.
Yes, so our show is this Sunday, June 9th at 3 in the afternoon. Our shows are in the afternoons because we still have dancers from out district coming in to perform. And so this will take place at the Bliss Center for Performing Arts. And our tickets for adults, it is $25, and for children for ages 3 to 15 is $15.
And you can purchase the tickets at the doors.
Yes, the Bliss office has tickets on sale starting this week, and their opening hours are from 9 in the morning to 5 in the evening.
All right. Jalen Craig, everyone, the creative director of Modern Dance Movement. Get those tickets and go and see Tenacity. Such an inspiring piece with so many talented dancers here in Belize. We wish you all the best, and we can't wait to have you again here talking about pollen.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take our final break, and when we come back, we wrap things up.